11 o'clock. Welcome in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head and Wes Mitchell along with you on this Wednesday, 4th of July Eve. We'll talk some 4th of July cookout stuff a little bit later on in the show, but we do have a little bit of Gamecock football news to get to start out today's show. This is something that came out later on yesterday, and our guy Chris Clark has a story up on it for Gamecock Central with Taylor Edwards, who has been the director of player personnel for Beamer's tenure here at South Carolina. No longer with the program. And Wes, there's like anytime one of these things happens, a lot of speculation out there about what exactly went down and why this move was made. What can you tell us about what you know up to this point?
Yeah, I'll try to avoid the speculation there, Tyler. And I think for South Carolina,
There we go.
certainly a situation. You got me now. We're good,
Yeah,
Tyler.
all good. There we go.
Yeah, I was just saying I'll kind of avoid the speculation part and let everybody lean on what Chris said there on Gamecock Central. But I do think to kind of go a little bit into what this news means for South Carolina, and to me, this is a position that is not necessarily that forward facing position where that fans maybe talk about as much or read about as much, but your director of player personnel is essentially in charge of setting a lot of the parameters within your recruiting, setting the logistics, and kind of helping build your roster. So if you want to think of it like in NFL terms, and some colleges even use this term now, it's kind of like your general manager. And whereas at the end of the day, the final decision on like an offer or whether you're going to accept a commitment comes down to the head coach. But a big portion of your roster management is on that director of player personnel, because if you think about all the not just hundreds, but thousands of prospects that are out there that you're having to manage all this. And so it might be on a position coach and another recruiting assistant to, for example, manage wide receivers or running backs or whoever else. Basically, that DPP, it's called, they're in charge of managing all that. They're in charge of sort of seeing the big picture of things. And in today's world, as NIL also gets more and more in-house in terms of what you can do as a school, that's part of it as well. Kind of knowing what your resources are in terms of that. So I would just say, and we'll let more details come out as they do, but I would just say for South Carolina, it is a loss, and it's a situation where you're going to have to make a very good hire, because this is one of your more important behind the scenes roles within the program.
Well, and we rightfully loft a lot of the praise of how they've recruited these past couple of years on Beamer and his assistants as well. But Taylor Edwards plays a big part in being able to bring in some of these high level recruits they've been able to land the past couple of years. And you're obviously at a position right now with your 2025 class, and you are potentially going to be losing Shamari Earls here with a possible flip to Georgia, but a crucial time over these next couple months in terms of locking down that class that, it's probably not the ideal time to be replacing your director of player personnel.
Yeah, and I would also argue there's no great time to be doing it. Maybe right after signing day, honestly, but even, I mean, these days, what does that even mean? You always have transfer portal. You're always recruiting. ABC always be recruiting. So I think for South Carolina, you at least are in this dead period, which, as we talk about all the time, Tyler, it's a little bit of a misnomer. There's no such thing as an actual dead period. Like you kind of have, it's a dead period in terms of you can't be on the road as a staff recruiting, and you cannot host prospects on your campus. So this is an opportunity for staff, usually maybe their last opportunity, to take a break. And now that means you're always going to be still DMing recruits, talking on the phone. So it's not a true dead period. However, if you were going to talk about a time where less things are going on in recruiting, better to have happened now if you do want to sort of have a silver lining. better to go ahead and have this happen right now. And, a good portion of your class is already in place in terms of verbal commitments. But as you brought up with Earls, I mean, what does that mean in 2024? Like
Right.
it's going to be important to me. Like you think of that position, maybe if you don't really follow recruiting, as the guy has to be a great recruiter.
Hmm.
Um, you want the guy to have some personality to him. You want the guy to be fired up, but ultimately, you want the guy to be able to manage and manage other people, because you do in today's world. You have a bigger and bigger recruiting department, and then just manage the logistics of your roster. How how many scholarships do we have total? How many scholarships are devoted to each position? How there's an evaluation piece to that is very important. Obviously, some of that relies on the assistant coaches. Some of that relies on your recruiting staff, kind of other guys. But then certainly there's an evaluation piece. There's a big picture piece that I think is very important when you're talking about your DPP. So for South Carolina, it is an important hire, but I don't know that you have to have, with it being this time of year, I don't know if you have to have that urgency
Sure.
to hire somebody today. Like I think if you're Beamer, now you may be sitting on the beach right now, and here we are once again where you think you have a little break, and you're having to, I think didn't Beamer say they were sitting on an island when Coley left.
Right.
So you're always dealing with something in college athletics.
Well, and I don't think it's a hire that you need to just go out and rush to make just for the purposes of making a hire, because this was somebody that was of high quality. I went back and looked this morning, and there was an article from Ari Wasserman of The Athletic that came out a couple years ago that listed Taylor Edwards as one of the best in his position in the entire country at that point in time. And I imagine his reputation has only grown since then. So you're replacing somebody that was of such high value to this program. You want to make sure you go out there and get that hire right. Who that is, we don't know at this point in time, but it's something that you probably want to make sure that you vet correctly to either be able to continue on with that same level of success, or have somebody within the same realm of what Edwards was able to bring to the program.
Yeah, I would say this, man. Taylor gets it. Like, he understands that position, and Taylor does have what we kind of call some juice to him. Like, he has some recruiting juice. Again, that's not necessarily one of those things that you have to have in that position, but it is a nice bonus if you have a guy who has some recruiting chops of his own to step in. And actually, in a lot of cases, with some of these guys that are on campus right now, some of these guys on the roster, I should say, um, Taylor Edwards was pretty involved, I think, in building relationships with those players. And, that relationship continues once they get on campus as well. So I do think it is a loss for South Carolina, and it's an important new hire for them to make. And, just kind of like, just feel bad for the whole thing, and kind of the way it's played out, honestly. And I think for South Carolina, this has been an off season of change in some ways. And if you sort of that's really a big picture position. Like, you maybe don't feel the effects of it right away, but if you're gonna, recruiting is the lifeblood of every program. So if you're gonna recruit the way you need to, it's got to be a strong hire.
I think it's also interesting, something we talked about last week, where the NCAA has now approved the unlimited coach thing, where anybody that is involved with your coaching staff has the ability to be involved with on the field operations as well. I do wonder if maybe you're making a hire not only to fill the player personnel role, but also somebody that can also help you out in an on field role as well, if that opportunity presents itself now.
Well, and I think we're going to see more and more schools split those roles if they can, because you can have an unlimited number now. So why, why make a guy, if you have a coach who's a great teacher but not a great recruiter, why even make him recruit anymore? Like, you could hire a set of recruiters, you could hire a set of teachers, and you could hire a set of evaluators if you really wanted to. Now there becomes a point of diminishing returns there, where you're splitting it up too much. Like, in some ways, the players want to hear from the guys who are actually going to be coaching them on the field. So I do think inevitably some schools will take that too far as how much they split it up. But you are seeing. I'll tell you what will be interesting to me. How now I'll point this out. There's a lot of former South Carolina recruiting staff guys who are now spread all over, either as director of player personnel guys at other schools like LSU, like Georgia. There are guys in the NFL now in scouting departments that started out that were students at USC, worked their way up in the recruiting department. Of course, you have guys in your current recruiting department that, it's kind of a pretty expansive like tree of recruiting guys that Beamer could turn to. Also, Tyler, how much have we seen Shane Beamer lean on the NFL with some of these on-field hires? And you may say, well, that's very different. But in the NIL era, there's a lot more that is similar to the NFL structure in college than there ever has been before. Sure. So to me, that's and we're just speculating at this point. I don't know what direction Beamer will take. I don't know if Beamer quite yet knows what direction he'll go, but I do think all those things are important to point out. You do have to. We're seeing places structure their recruiting departments differently these days because of that. You see the phrase general manager pop up in college now, where it used to be an NFL term. So sure. I think all those things are things to keep in mind as we look at the direction that Beamer ultimately goes with this new hire.
Yeah, definitely so. And again, this was an unexpected departure from Taylor Edwards, and we'll keep an eye on what Beamer and company decide to do when it comes to filling that role. We touched a little bit yesterday on what Lamont Paris had to say in his midsummer presser, but there's a lot of things we didn't get a chance to get to. We'll hear a little bit more from Lamont Paris and what he has to say about this basketball team in the middle of the summer as we get closer to the start of the 2024-2025 college basketball season coming up. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on the game.
From the Midlands to the PD to the beach, the Game Network. Ever been on this date?
You're a good-looking man.
Thank you.
Very pretty.
Soft,
delicate features. They're real feminine.
And thought, man, I'd rather be listening to the game right now.
Welcome in to the afternoon show alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips.
Well, just go to iTunes or Google Play and download the game app. Sure, you may no longer be with that person anymore, but you'll never be without the game again. 1075 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. Save $20K on new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
All right, guys, this episode and every single episode presented by our friends at Firehouse Subs. Hit up firehousesubs.com right now or do what we tell you every single show and download the Firehouse Subs app. I'm hoping by now you've already got that thing downloaded. But, of course, the app is free, and you can go on there and hit the Rapid Rescue. By far the easiest, most efficient way to order your sandwich from Firehouse Subs. Again, firehousesubs.com, another way to do it. Every single time you order, you are going to get points, and then you can trade in those points for free food. It's almost lunchtime. It is the perfect time for you to order a great sub from Firehouse Subs. And guess what? No matter where you are in the Midlands, I promise you, I've been to almost all of them. I promise you there is a Firehouse Subs near you, no matter where you are in the Midlands. Again, easiest, most efficient way to do it. Hit the Rapid Rescue. That's at firehousesubs.com and on the Firehouse Subs app. Order right now.
Hey, it's Caitlin from Craft and Draft. Did you know Craft and Draft Divine Street turns 10 this summer? Join us July 13th from 12 to 8 for our...
Is that helpful?
Yeah, no, that was perfect. I'm gonna try to get a little bit more settled here. I didn't have integrated in front of me, so I just flipped it. But I'll do integrated this time.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm literally we're at my uncle's house, and I'm literally in the car just for a controlled environment.
Okay,
so,
I gotcha.
I did not trust their connection or their dogs, so
I gotcha. Oh, good.
I wanted to. But yeah, I'm gonna use this commercial break to get to a little bit better spot.
Okay. All right.
just their customers.
Or see the free signage that Schroeder's provides to business owners to deter unauthorized parking?
I guess not.
Schroeder's Talent, the best and fastest hookers in town.
Hey, this is Jen Jensen for CHW Cabinetry. My family is using CHW Cabinetry, and they are fantastic to work with. They make sure you're satisfied with every step of the process. Not only do their photorealistic renderings show exactly what your new space will look like, their job site guarantees everyone is on the same page, literally. Experience the CHW difference for yourself. Go to chwcabinetry.com to see more, or call them at 803-520-6837, and be sure to tell them Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation.
This football season, and every football season, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game. Find your tickets online at GamecocksOnline.com.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
This year, Roy and Dana Finley are shaking things up at AAA Heating and Air. For the next 12 months, they're telling their customers no. Get a new system purchase with no payments and no interest until 2025. And don't forget their 15-year parts and labor warranty, $1,500 old system buyback, and guaranteed financing. So do what I did. Call AAA Heating and Air for your free estimate today and tell them Jay Phillips sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
It's the time of year to be active. Time to do something about that pain in your joints. Hey, it's Preston Thorne. Stop with the steroids. Stop with the talk of surgery. Now there's a better way to get lasting relief. It's QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. Here in Columbia, they have 2 clinics in West Columbia and downtown. QC Kinetics' exciting approach uses healing properties from your own body, highly concentrated, and puts them directly into your achy joints. It can restore and repair that damaged tissue and get you moving again without pain. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, hip pain. The patient satisfaction reports are incredible, and there's no downtime. Listen, the old ways of dealing with joint pain are no longer the only ways. If they're telling you that you need surgery, do yourself a favor and call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. Learn more about this wildly popular, all-natural way to get lasting pain relief with no surgery and no drugs. The call is free. The consultation is free. Call QC Kinetics now, 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can easily find coverage options that fit your budget. If only it was that easy to name your baby.
How about Jaden?
Nope.
Okay. Michael?
Went to middle school with a glue-eating Michael.
Sebastian?
Dated one in college.
How about Damien?
Vampire name.
All right. Greg?
Not feeling it.
Okay. No worries. No worries. Jeffrey?
Oh, love that one.
Wait, really?
No.
Find coverage options that fit your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour
With Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head.
on the Game Network.
Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs, Tyler Head and Wes Mitchell, along with you on this Wednesday. And though we're in the middle of the summer, never a bad time to talk about basketball. Lamont Paris did address the media earlier on this week, quarter zip and all, to give an update on what's been going on with this team through summer workouts and preview a little bit of what to expect in this upcoming season. And one big question a lot of people ask going into now his second year will be, what's the improvements that Colin Murray-Boyles is going to make this offseason to be an even better player in his sophomore year? Let's get cut number 7 here, Dave. This is Lamont Paris talking about the improvements CMB is making for this upcoming season.
One thing, he's naturally unselfish. That's a great quality to have, but, I also am going to encourage him to be more aggressive, to generate offense for himself. So I think that's a real change. He's not going to do that just because I tell him. It's going to take some time for him to really evolve into a guy that is looking to generate offense for himself. We're going to need him to do some of that. And then a byproduct of that is once he gets good at that, teams will try to take that away, and he also can pass. His assist-to-turnover ratio was good last year, particularly for a young big. So I think that's the first thing. Two, then is continuing to develop what my go-to will be, and then what my counter will be off of that. I think that's the second part of his development that I think can happen this year. And then thirdly, things that can happen this year are continued a continued improvement on the confidence as a shooter for him. He's got really good touch. And I want him to explore that this summer and see what it really looks like, so that by the time November and December hits, we know what it looks like for him and we won't be out there guessing. So those are the areas I'm really looking forward to trying to help him grow as a player.
And Colin Murray Boyles is so interesting because he rightfully so came in with a fair amount of hype into last season, gets the mono thing, is out for the first couple weeks there in the non-conference. And when he comes back into the fold, we expect like, okay, it may take a little while for him to get up to speed. And he exceeded everyone's expectations by jumping in the fold pretty quickly and making an impact right away. And, ended up being one of the better freshmen in all the SEC this past season. So he has the opportunity going into year number 2 to really be the guy on this South Carolina team. And I think we're all very interested to see what kind of steps he does make forward this offseason as we get into year number 2 for him.
Yeah, and Tyler, we'll obviously hit several of the clips, but I would encourage Gamecock fans to go out there and watch the entire press conference from Lamont Paris, because I don't know if we have time to really dive into all the details he went over. Like, I thought it was a perfectly timed, just very informative, lack of coach speak type press conference where he went into detail on a ton of guys, the team in general, maybe the difference in how this team is built a little bit compared to last year. And I know they're kind of still formulating what that is going to look like in terms of blueprint, but obviously a big part of that blueprint is going to involve CMB and kind of taking control, I think, of this team. And that's one thing I took away from what Lamont Paris said. And that's just that he naturally is an unselfish kid. And I think that is from an on court, and you sort of read between the lines, probably an off the court thing as well. Like, he's just a good human being. Now, some of that ultimately, if you're going to be the dude, if you're going to be the guy, some of that involves getting a little bit selfish, I think. And so that maybe will not come naturally for him, but I think learning when to be selfish and learning when to spread the ball around. And, Lamont Paris talked about it. Like, once you sort of have a go-to and then teams start trying to take you away as the primary threat, he's also a great passer as well. So he's going to be able to force teams to play him evenly, I think, and balanced. But, I'll tell you what, it's very interesting. Remember when we had Joshua Staley on, the former Flora coach, he was talking about this jump shot that CMB has. And you also heard Lamont Paris talk about, hey, we maybe don't have a BJ Mack on this team in terms of that big who can extend out and hit the three, but he really wants CMB to spend this offseason exploring exactly what that range is. And, I thought there was a great quote from Lamont Paris in there as well, where he's talking about what it actually means to get in the gym and, the amount of obsession you have to work on your jump shot and stuff like that. But a big part of that was sort of just knowing, if you're CMB, at what spot on the floor am I 100% comfortable taking that jump shot? At what point do my percentages start to diminish a little bit as I get further and further away from the basket, and just having a command of kind of knowing yourself? And so I think when you look at how just particular that Lamont Paris is about things, I think that's a great thing for CMB as well in terms of his development. I mean, you can tell just listening to LP talk, it's like he believes this kid's upside is just off the charts. Because he even, I think the way he said it was basically like, you can be a freshman, all SEC guy and still not even be close to your potential. But that really just speaks to how high CMB's potential is.
Right. No, absolutely. And having a year of experience under his belt certainly goes a long way. And the clip's a little bit long here. We won't play this, but that was something else that, Lamont Paris harped on a lot in the presser the other day was just having guys with experience coming back. You're getting Jacoby Wright for another year. You're getting Miles Studi back for another year. Obviously, CMB coming in to year number 2. And that just seems like to be, and I talked about this with Terry the other day, a mark of good Lamont Paris teams is experience. They were one of the most experienced teams in all Division One last year. You look at those Chattanooga teams that he had success with; they were the most experienced teams in all of college basketball. His first year at South Carolina, they were on the lower end. They were like 260th out of 330 some odd teams in terms of experience. So they're setting up to be one of the most experienced teams. Once again, you bring in Jordan Butler, you bring guys like Nick Pringle that have played college basketball at high levels at other places, that they're once again looking to be guys that are you're not going to have to get up to speed too much with when the season starts, which again seems to be in line with how Lamont Paris likes to coach the game of basketball.
Yeah, he definitely, I think he even mentioned it that he wanted to add experience last offseason and wanted to add experience this offseason as well. And so I think that's going to be a big part of the blueprint. It's going to be a combination. You don't want to reinvent your roster every year, but I think in the portal era, we're going to see South Carolina consistently go out and add older players to the roster while still trying to recruit the best in the state. When you look, the example of that is the obvious Cam Scott, but also going out and getting some guys who maybe just are a fit for your program, maybe aren't quite as highly recruited, but that you want to develop and keep around. To me, the perfect example of that would be like a Zachary Davis, of course, Jacoby Wright, who now is a veteran guy after playing a couple of years and being a big part of what you do. And, so I think for South Carolina, it's not always going to be the exact same skill sets, but you can sort of see the blueprint of what they want to be. And one thing I've picked up from asking around, Tyler, is that they really feel like they've upgraded just the overall athleticism when you look at this team. Like when you look at their front court, I mean, you have some position battles going on, of course. Nobody's job is safe, but I think you can go ahead and start to project what this roster, what this starting lineup might look like. And when you're talking about having a guy like maybe Nick Pringle playing the 5, CMB playing the 4, Zachary Davis playing the 3, you're talking about athleticism and length. And, I think that allows you to do some things that, whereas, last year you had BJ Mack sort of playing the 4 and the 5. He was giving you that sort of stretch guy that can get out there and spread the floor and shoot the basketball, but you were giving up some athleticism at time at those positions. So this year, I think you add some athleticism. I think you add some just verticality. And I think defensively, that will allow South Carolina to do some things, maybe with a little bit more aggression in terms of maybe some full court stuff, or switching, in man ball situations. I think we're going to see them tweak and adjust exactly how this team wins. But I do think there are some exciting things about the idea of those 3 guys being your starters. Then, as you said, you had a guy like Jordan Butler. Didn't do a ton at Missouri, but, I mean, this is a former 4-star guy. He was only a freshman last year, and I think the way Paris said it is he's dripping with potential. Like to me, for a coach who just says how it is,
right,
and really doesn't blow smoke, that sentence caught my attention. The sentence about Butler and the sentence about Arden Conyers definitely piqued my interest.
Plenty of reason to be excited about this men's basketball team for this upcoming season. Also, plenty of reasons to be excited for the upcoming College Football 25 video game right at 2 weeks away, 2.5 weeks away, I guess, from its official launch. We'll talk to our guy, Matt Brown, of the Extra Points newsletter. Once again, coming up next, get the latest on what's been going down with the video game as the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs rolls on in your Wednesday here on The Game.
107.5 The Game.
In Columbia.
100.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.3 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
All right, guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Integrated Media. You've heard us telling you about them for really not just months, but years now. If you're ready to upgrade all the audio and visual, pretty much anything at your home, hit up our friends at Integrated Media. Head on over the easiest way, integratedmediainc.com. You can get an idea of all of their services. That could be upgrading your smart home, upgrading your home theater, upgrading anything involving audio, visual in your home, TV installations, of course, security and cameras as well. Some of you may be kind of comfortable doing that stuff on your own. Some of you, even for the small stuff, may want to have a professional do it for you, and that's what our friends at Integrated Media are here for. 803-948-8327 is that phone number. Again, integratedmediainc.com. Upgrade the internet, hang your TV, anything audio visual at your home they can do for you. Hit them up right now. Hit them up today.
I'm with Stephen Samuels of the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm. So, Stephen, how does someone know if you're the right firm to handle their case?
Hey, great question. Each case is unique as the people involved. We're local. You meet with your attorney in person. That way you can tell firsthand if we're a good fit for you. We're a diverse practice. We pack a big punch, and our approach works.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 803-779-4000.
It's the Love Chevrolet Countdown to Gamecock Football.
59 days till kickoff.
Your trusted family-owned dealership since 1961. Get the vehicle you want, not the one you have to settle for. Love Chevy, South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Do you remember your first Gamecock game? Who you were with and where did you sit? Where did you tailgate? What were you wearing? The idea that all those memories can come flooding back the moment you set foot on campus is real. So this year and every year, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game. Get your tickets today and catch a game at any time for any sport. Online at GamecocksOnline.com.
Phil Gunner here with the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder from First Palmetto Bank. If the new year has you in need of a guru in this market, Jacob will get you taken care of. Just a few years ago, he helped me, and I personally recommend him and First Palmetto Bank, who's owned and operated right here in the Midlands. Jacob has local decision makers, which means quick and precise processing and underwriting. So if you're looking to make a move, give Jacob a call today, 803-719-1005, or email him at jcrowder@firstpalmetto.com.
Thanks, Bill. It's nice to have the band back together. Interest rates have stabilized, as well as the local housing market. Now is a good time to buy a house. At First Palmetto, we have products to help home buyers keep payments down. Also, if you're considering building a home, we have a no-nonsense construction loan that fits your needs. If the new year brings change, we can help you. Give me a call, 803-719-1005.
Great news on the housing market having stabilized. So that makes it a good time to buy?
Absolutely. That sums it up, Bill.
Call Jacob Crowder today, 803-719-1005.
My MLS number is 198432. First Palmetto is a member of the FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Hey guys, Jay Phillips and Grayson Griner here for our friends at Integrated Media. Grayson, now that you and the family have settled into life after years in the bigs, I hear you've added to what Integrated Media had already done around the house. Tell us what makes your system so much fun to use.
Yeah, Jay, Integrated Media has taken care of us from day one. Everything they do looks fantastic. Everything they do sounds fantastic, and everything runs seamlessly when it comes to our smart home. In today's day and age of streaming everything, having a strong Wi-Fi connection throughout the house is critical, and Integrated Media is the best in the business, setting you and your family up with everything you could ever need.
Now, I don't know about you, but having an outdoor system that looks and sounds like the indoors is better than I could have imagined.
Yeah, one of the perks of living in the Midlands of South Carolina is enjoying time outdoors virtually year-round. From weatherproof mounted televisions to outdoor speaker systems, Integrated Media is the standard when it comes to outdoor entertainment. They're the only people I would ever recommend when it comes to outfitting your smart home indoors or out.
Work with the best in the business, and that's our friends at Integrated Media. Grayson and I can't recommend them highly enough. See their work on Facebook and Instagram, then call them up at 803-948-8327 and get Integrated Media into your home today.
What you're talking about
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet
on the Game Network.
Welcome back in. It is Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head and Wes Mitchell along with you on this Wednesday, July the 3rd. Means we're a little over 2 weeks away from the official release of EA Sports College Football 25 video game. Joining us now once again on the Love Chevrolet phone lines is Matt Brown of the Extra Points newsletter, who has been following this game from the get-go. We talked to him a few weeks back before really any true details of the game had been released. Matt, first of all, thank you so much for joining us once again. Since we last talked, we've learned a lot about this game. And for somebody like you that, again, has covered it from the very beginning, what's it been like seeing all the information come out and seeing everybody get so hyped up and excited for the full release coming out here in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. Anytime that you're on a beat where
so many people are so interested in the information, and that's gratifying as a writer. I'm just as excited about this game release as most of the other folks are. I played it a lot as a kid and as a young adult. It's exciting. I think for people to be able to see a product has really taken great pains to try and make running a college program as realistic as possible while still being fun. I think users here are going to have a chance to kind of play with the transfer portal, play with the 12-team college football playoff, engage with some of these mechanics with this college football season, even before they happen in real life, is really unique in video games. It's unique in sports, and I'm excited to see how people respond to it.
Hey, Matt, it's Wes. Again, like Tyler said, appreciate you doing this, man. How important do you think it was? I know when the game got delayed a year, we all sort of, if you love the game, there's a little frustration, but it seems like the attention to detail that they've been able to add just kind of across the board, from the recruiting mechanics, transfer portal, like you said, feeling like you're really running your own program as far as every little detail, everything that's gone into the stadiums. How important do you think that extra year for them to just get this thing right has been, as you've sort of been able to pick up all these details as you've been covering it?
The more I talk to developers, the more I think that extra year was absolutely critical. I think, fans and consumers, I think understand this, but the game development cycle for most sports games is extremely short. Right? If you're going to make a new Madden or a new NBA 2K every year, you've only got a couple of months to try and create new mechanics and new feature sets. And I don't know if people realize this, but like conversations about next year's college football game and the year after have already happened. Like there's some roadmaps about what are the things we wanted to do this year that we can't. What are things that we can kind of kick around in the background to potentially add moving forward? It's rare that you get a chance to have 3 years to build a new game. And they needed every bit of that time because there were a lot of technical systems that had to be rebuilt from the ground up. College football has changed a lot over the last decade, so they needed time to interview coaches and national reporters and ex-players to make sure that they were building a logic around recruiting and player progression that made sense. I think if we're being honest, while a lot of people are going to really enjoy this game, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy this game, and I'm confident it's going to be pretty good, I think there's an argument that it might have even benefited from an even longer development time as people are still getting used to the new hardware and some of the new changes in college football. Having this amount of time, I unquestionably think makes for a better and more stable product.
Again, talking to Matt Brown from the Extra Points newsletter about the upcoming release of EA Sports College Football 25. I had a conversation with the co-host of our morning show, he's in his 40s now, former college football player himself, Preston Thorne. He actually posed an interesting question to me this morning. While we know the game is going to have the depth and detail that us super diehards are going to love to spend hours and hours on, is this game still going to be able to satisfy just that casual fan that wants to just pop on and play a one-on-one game with their buddy on a PS5 or something like that? Or is that detail maybe going to scare away some of the casuals a little bit?
This is actually one of the really difficult developmental and architecture questions in sports games, right? We've gotten really good at depicting in 3D what football and what basketball looks like. And you really do have to make a game that satisfies both of those groups. And maybe on my beat, and maybe some of you guys here too, we can get lost in our bubble of the diehards. I think a great specific example of this is in Dynasty mode. As you're figuring out who you want to recruit, you can get so granular that you can say, hey, staff, dedicate some time to search the social media history of this recruit so we can understand if he's going to be a good cultural fit for our program. And if you're a college football sicko like me, you're thinking, heck yeah, let's do it. But if you are somebody that's not going to be able to dedicate that kind of time or energy into the program, you can automate a lot of that stuff. You can turn off some of the features. You might have to get in the weeds and make a custom rule set or anything. But if you want a more casual experience that strips away some of those extra features or automates them, that's possible. If all you really want to do is hop on the sticks and beat Clemson by 40, or lose to Clemson, or beat South Carolina by 40, right? Or Coastal or whoever. I think you can do that. It just won't be maybe the exact same game that maybe you and I are playing.
Matt, I think one of your newsletter entries was about the mechanics of getting some of the songs in the game that we obviously all connect with certain colleges and traditions and all that stuff and sort of that process. But what can you tell us kind of a little bit about how that works? And is there any confirmation completely on whether or not Sandstorm is in or out when it comes to this game?
Yeah. So the way that the process worked, and this was, I think it started at least a year and a half ago, is that EA went to every school in FBS and said, here's this big old spreadsheet. I want you to let us know what audio you play before games, during games. What are the things that your marching band plays the most? What are your student chants that are not R-rated that happen during the game? There's like 28 different audio categories. And they asked the schools, give us everything, even the stuff you don't own the rights to, because then we can sit down with our budget and we can figure out what we can pay for and what we can't, right? The fight songs for, I think, just about everybody. Actually, no, the fight songs for everybody, because Auburn's in the game, are in the game. And the EA was able to pay for the licenses for some things. Some songs, like Jump Around, iconic at Wisconsin, that's not in the game this year. And these are the kind of things that could potentially be added in future releases, but it's on a kind of a case-by-case basis, depending on how much the licensing costs. And, I had some developers tell me they were apprehensive about spending a lot of money on songs that were only going to be used by one school or might only appear, for a couple of seconds in each broadcast. Mm-hmm. I do not know this 1,000%. I'm pretty sure Sandstorm is in the game because I think more than one school uses it. I did not play at South Carolina when I demoed the game. And one of the tricky things here about South Carolina specifically, because I get asked this question a lot, is I've gotten this information from many schools thanks to open records laws that allow me to file requests and get this information. And South Carolina, people that do not live in the great state of South Carolina cannot file those requests. So unless I can get someone to use as a burner, I haven't been able to get some of that information from Clemson or South Carolina. And then also many schools did not send that information themselves. They did it through their multimedia rights partner. So if Learfield took care of all of this, or Playfly, or I don't remember who South Carolina uses, I can't
Learfield,
get it unless the school, it's Learfield, right? So unless the school then leaks it to me, which they have decided not to do, I can't get specific confirmation. So I get asked a lot about South Carolina and Clemson. I get asked a lot about Arkansas. I get asked a lot about Tennessee, and my answer is, if I can't help you, unfortunately, ask your governor and ask your lawmakers to sign more progressive open records legislation, so nosy reporters like me can get that information for you easier.
Well, we certainly appreciate all the hard work you've been doing, and again, we've been following along with you for really the past couple of years as this is all been developing, and we certainly all can't wait to see this all come to fruition here in just about 2 weeks' time. We appreciate your time once again, Matt.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me, guys. Enjoy.
Absolutely. Again, that's Matt Brown from the Extra Points newsletter. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Brown EP for the final couple weeks of development leading up to the release of the game coming up here in the end of July. We'll come back, wrap up today's edition of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Talk a little bit of 4th of July. What is on your cookout plate? That's next here on The Game.
The Game Network in Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.5 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach.
100.3 The Game.
Yes, that's
the read is after the Sports Minute on this one.
Sounds good.
An amazing adventures are just this morning's breakfast. And it's pretty good in case of an emergency. But the single most important function of your phone is the game.
But both defenses have been this year. What's so funny?
That noise.
You can listen anywhere. Just go to iTunes or Google Play and download the Game app now.
This is Andrew Perloff with a Sports Minute, sponsored by WeatherGuard Truck and Van Equipment. They're just as driven as the hardworking pros they serve. HBO unveiled a new Hard Knocks off-season show last night about the New York Giants. We got an interesting peek into their thinking around Saquon Barkley. It's easy to say, don't pay a running back. It's another thing when the owner walks in and says, I don't want to lose my star. We all think we can do it, but Hard Knocks showed running a team isn't as easy as we thought. I'm Andrew Perloff.
Get Bosch Pure Vision wiper blades, buy one, get one free at O'Reilly Auto Parts, in-store only. We'll install them for free at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
DQ presents Picture This. Picture the DQ freezer, home to all the Blizzard flavors of the past. Picture it opening to bring back the salted caramel truffle blizzard for a limited time. Picture that salted caramel truffle blizzard in your hands. It's all yours. No, really, it's all yours. This treat is too good to share. Everyone will have to get one for themselves. Hurry in to get this flavor before the DQ freezer closes. DQ, happy tastes good.
Save on O'Reilly Brake Parts Cleaner. Get 2 cans of O'Reilly Brake Parts Cleaner for just $8. Valid in-store only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
All right, if you've been listening to the show, you know I've been telling you about our friends over at Classic Roofing. And we've also been telling you that if, there's been some storms in the area, if you have some roof damage, let them come out and look at it. Don't just blindly file a claim. Some places may tell you, hey, just file a claim, it'll get taken care of. You're not going to want to file a claim unless it's absolutely necessary. So let them come out. Call them today, 803-590-7870. Let them check out that roof damage and come up with a great plan to help you get it fixed with as little money out of your pocket as possible. As always, even if there hasn't been damage you know of, you're going to want to protect your roof. You want to make sure that your roof is in good shape. Let them come out and do a free estimate and let you know how much time you have left on this roof, or there's some things that maybe you need to fix and get handled right away to extend the life of that roof. Again, it's our friends at Classic Roofing. That's classicroofingsc.com. Phone number 803-590-7870.
Paid for by National Tax Advisory Services. Attention anyone that owes money to the IRS. The IRS has restarted aggressive enforcement actions against taxpayers who owe back taxes that were temporarily suspended for COVID. If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this because now is the time to clear your IRS tax debt. A special toll-free number has been established so you can stop penalty fees, avoid liens, and other hostile measures by the IRS. Call tax relief helpers right now at 800-804-4894 and get the maximum protection afforded by law.
I got behind on my taxes and owed $48,000. I didn't know what to do. I called and they got my bill lowered to just $3,500.
I owed $87,000 in taxes and it was scary. I got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
If you owe money to the IRS, don't wait another day. Call 800-804-4894 right now before the IRS enforces liens, levies, or other aggressive measures. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call now. Call 800-804-4894. 800-804-4894. 800-804-4894.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour
with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head
on the Game Network.
Welcome back in Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head, Wes Mitchell, along with you on this Wednesday. Appreciate everybody checking us out on the Game TV, sponsored by our friends at Shepherd's Glass and powered by Integrated Media. Programming note, we will not be here tomorrow or on Friday because of the 4th of July holiday. We'll be back in here on Monday for the full week. That'll be leading you up until SEC Media Days coming up the week after that. But with tomorrow being the 4th of July, always a good time to talk about some food, as we love to do here on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. So, Wes, what is your ideal 4th of July plate going to look like?
Oh man, you got to go all in on this thing. Like, Tyler, some people may be cheeseburger or hot dog people. I think you got to go both. Like you gotta have both on the plate.
Mm-hmm.
I think you got to have some slaw involved, whether you've got slaw on the hot dog or on the side. And then I'm going baked beans as well. Hopefully we got some chili to put on everything, basically. And then after you kind of relax for a minute, you got to have some s'mores. Like that's a classic. Got to have that part. And in our family, we'd always go to the lake and we'd have brownies.
Okay.
But the brownies would just be kind of sitting while you were eating and everything. So they would just sort of get warm again and get all gooey and just phenomenal. They taste like they were fresh out of the oven in a lot of ways, by just the natural heat of a 4th of July in the Palmetto State. So any and all of that, I'm all in on.
That sounds pretty good. Now, the slaw dog, that's a South Carolina thing. Am I correct on that?
I don't know. I know. So I've heard people call it like a Carolina dog.
Okay.
If you have, I think a lot of places for that do mustard, chili, slaw, onion is a Carolina dog. Some people get upset if you put ketchup on there for some reason. I like ketchup, but I'll eat a hot dog. I want my hot dog like loaded with one of the best hot dogs I ever had like everything you can think of on it. It was like ketchup, mustard, chili, pimento cheese, slaw, onion.
My goodness, you probably lose the hot dog at that point in time.
No, it's still there. So that's where I am.
Yeah, I'm
What about you?
I definitely got to have the burger and the dog on the plate. I can't think of too many times on the 4th of July where I've run into places that had chili as well. But if you have chili there, I'm not going to say no to it. I love a good chili dog. I got to have pasta salad. That's kind of like my go-to side. I told Bill this the other day, like every cookout function we went to, my mom was always the one that brought a big thing of pasta salad. So that's always going to end up in the plate. Regular potato chips. I'm okay with barbecue potato chips, but I just like classic regular Lay's are always good for me. And then if we're talking about dessert, it's really hard to beat banana pudding. That is really, there's never a bad time for banana pudding. I mean, we get it at the pregame shows for the football games every single week, thanks to our friends over at Sound and Images. But man, summertime with banana pudding is just like kind of the perfect fit for me. And of course, you got to have like a Coke or something to wash it all down with.
So you said plain chips. Do you ever eat plain chips just by themselves or only as a side?
Oh, 1,000%. I love plain potato chips.
Oh wow. See, I'm not.
You gotta have some flavor with yours.
Yeah, I'm with you on the plain chips, but only if they're just serving as like a direct side with a burger and probably another side as well. Like I don't really eat chips anyway by themselves. They've got to be. They're just the supplement to a nice, in this case, burger and dog.
See, if you gave me a full family size bag of Lay's potato chips, I would have to stop myself from eating the entire bag. And I'm just I love salty things in general, and something about the saltiness of a Lay's potato chip, it's perfect to me.
See, you could put the bag in front of me, and I would literally never have it. I would not even have any desire to touch it.
You're also probably a little bit more health conscious than I am when it comes to food, so maybe you've got a little better temperament than I do.
On some things, yes, but I mean, if you put a burger and a hot dog and they're just loaded up in front of me, then there's gonna be no willpower involved with that. Like it's going down.
And in your team, no pickles, right?
Team, absolutely no pickles.
No pickle. Now here's the thing: pickles on hot dogs are actually pretty good.
Okay, get out of here.
No, I'm just saying, don't knock it till you try it. I think that's I think Chicago style. They put the pickle spear on there, but just a couple dills with some ketchup on a hot dog goes a long way. It hits different. I'm not gonna lie.
Is that a Georgia thing or what?
That is a me thing. I don't know where that thing from, but I imagine it was at a cookout where I saw the pickles on the table. I thought, why not? Let's put them on the hot dog and see what happens. And it's pretty darn good. I can't lie.
See, that's actually a thought I would have never had. I'll just say I'm a little bit more open to certain pickles as I've gotten older, but they got to be good pickles. It can't just be like the fast food kind of fast food burger pickles that are just soggy and not very. To me that I'm not a picky eater, but that is one food that I just do not love.
The pickles that we get at Firehouse Subs are high quality pickles that I would love to put on a hot dog on the 4th of July. I think that would go a long way.
Well, I think our guy Larry Chandler could probably hook you up there, Tyler.
Look, I'm gonna get a bucket one of these days. Do you guys watch one of these next times we go there? I'm getting the bucket for sure. But hope everybody enjoys their 4th of July coming up tomorrow. We'll certainly enjoy it ourselves. Be back in here on Monday and hit the full week leading up to SEC Media Day. So for Wes Mitchell, I'm Tyler Head. This has been the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs on your Wednesday here on The Game.
1075 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. Save $20K on new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
All right, guys, as you know, we are in the middle of summer. Hot weather in Columbia, South Carolina. And you want to make sure, obviously, you're covered with some AC, and then when it's in the winter, that your heat is taken care of as well. Our friends at Krantz Cooling, they can handle all that for you. That's Krantz Cooling with a K for both of those, krantzcooling.com, or give them a call right now, 803-590-8775. Any services you need involving that, whether it's AC repair, AC installation, heating repair, heating installation, preventative maintenance, ductless AC, indoor air quality, or commercial HVAC as well. Our friends at Krantz Cooling, they want to help you through any, and make sure you're covered on all those things. Then Krantz Cooling, that's 2 Ks in there, krantzcooling.com, or 803-590-8775. Do what Chris Clark does and call Krantz Cooling today.
When it comes to comfort, you can rely on Brian's Heating and Cooling. Here's Tara Davis.
Talking to me.